I was 10 the night I broke my mother's only rule, the kind that keeps poor kids invisible in rich houses. Sit on the bench, Piper, no talking, Piper, no wandering, Piper, don't be a bother. But the rain on the Croft mansion windows sounded like it was calling a lonely name, and the boy in the wheelchair by the glass wasn't answering. So I walked in with my lunchbox and said hello, and slid half a peanut butter sandwich into Leo Croft's hand, like it was the most normal thing in the world, and his face remembered how to smile. He said I wasn't supposed to be there, and I said I knew, but he looked hungry, and we ate triangles of bread and talked about stars while the storm tapped time on the ceiling. We didn't know his father, Harrison Croft, the man whose last name lived on half the buildings downtown, was upstairs watching two kids break a rule and make a life. That night, rewired everything quietly. My mother, Eleanor, did not get fired for raising a girl with bad timing. She got promoted to house manager, with keys to a little stone cottage behind the rose garden, a place with warm floors and windows that ate the morning light. And Harrison said something no billionaire had ever said to us: "You already did the hard work. You raised a child I can trust with my son." And yeah, that happened. We moved in over a weekend that smelled like fresh paint and new hope, and I learned the mansion's breath, the echo in the marble hall, the hush in the two-story library, where old leather had its own weather. I did homework at a small oak desk, and then went looking for Leo, and he went looking for me, and we built a rhythm that felt like summer camp, even when it rained star charts on the table, chess on the window seat, wheelchairs becoming race cars on the smooth garden path. And every time he laughed, I swear, the house lost a pound of sadness. Harrison pretended he wasn't watching, showing up with tea like coincidence had a schedule, listening from the doorway while I read Treasure Island. And Leo interrupted to correct my compass directions, and I watched a powerful man realize money doesn't buy the thing he wanted most, the sound of his boy being a boy again. Not everyone loved that new math, Beverly Vance, Harrison's executive assistant. The queen of calendars and closed doors wore a professional smile that never reached her eyes and looked at me like a stain on glass she didn't confront. She arranged, you know what I mean? A misplaced order here, a lost message there, nothing you could photograph. Just a slow tilt that says, "Remember your place." The Croft Foundation Gala was coming, a glittering thing, with photographers and speeches, and an exhibit in the main gallery for the Croft star, a diamond necklace that had its own legend. And Beverly found Leo and me in the library. One afternoon we were drawing a treasure map of the estate to hide silly clues for staff kids. And she bent down with honey in her voice and told Leo his father wanted to give him real responsibility, the last check of the gallery each night, a secondary keypad lock. Only he would touch a private code he must never share, and not even with me. "This is about proving you can handle things alone," she said, and Leo straightened like a soldier at inspection. He did the rounds that week with careful hands, and the pride of a kid finally trusted with something that mattered. Every night he rolled into the gallery, checked the glass, tapped in the code, watched the green light wink, and rolled out lighter. And I met him in the corridor once, and we whispered perfect like we were guarding a constellation. The morning of the gala cracked open with a scream, staff flooding the gallery, the glass case unbroken but gaping, the velvet pedestal bare. The Croft star gone, and the head of security read the logs like a priest reading a bad prophecy. The primary system fine, the secondary lock disengaged after 10 p.m. Last code used belonged to Leo Croft, and the room turned to the boy in the chair like gravity had new rules. Leo said I locked it. "Dad, I swear I did." And Beverly put a soft hand on Harrison's sleeve and said it was a lot for a child, and I felt heat climb my neck because I watched a thin film of doubt cross a father's eyes. It was there and then it wasn't, but it had already cut something. The mansion went gray, the gala postponed with a statement about caution, Investigators walked the halls with clipped words. No one said Leo's name in official sentences, but it floated over every conversation. And my best friend stopped leaving his room, stopped drawing planets, stopped arguing about Polaris, staring through the window, like the world owed him an apology. I sat on his rug and said adults get it wrong, sometimes even smart ones, and I asked about the lock. Did anything feel off? And he told me how Beverly made him promise to tell no one, not even me, and the way she said it felt like a test. You pass by being alone and something cold snapped into clarity, because tests like that make it simpler to blame the kid in the empty room. I shadowed the security office and heard the chief mention in a low voice that only he and Ms. Vance had override access for programming. Her code wasn't used that night, and the math completed itself between my ribs. If you change the rules on Tuesday, the system can lie on Friday. A green light can smile while the lock quietly disengages when it's later. The last fingerprints belong to the kid who thought he did right. But a theory isn't proof, and proof needs a place. And then my brain remembered our treasure map, the one Beverly had admired a beat too long, eyes tracing our favorite hideouts. The koi pond, the old greenhouse at the far end of the property, where nobody went because the roof leaked, and the dirt smelled like Rain's basement. And I grabbed my mother's hand and said, I think I know where it is. Dusk makes brave ideas look braver. We slipped along hedges and pushed the greenhouse door through its own rust light, slanting in strips across broken pots and cracked trays. We searched the benches and the bins, and almost gave up until I saw one small terracotta pot that didn't belong to the dust story around it. I picked it up, and it was heavier than dirt, and taped to the bottom inside a plastic bag was the cold gleam of 1,000,000 unkind words, the Croft star shining like a dare. Put that down, Beverly said from the doorway, silhouette and iron trowel, the mask of competence gone and something raw showing through, and my mom moved in front of me with her body. The way mothers do when cars run lights saying it's over. We're calling the police and... Beverly laughed without humor, said the story. Everyone will believe is a maid and her grabby kid caught trying to run you two. Don't understand how narratives work. I build them. Fear edits options fast. I scanned the mess for a different sentence, spotted the watering can and the rubber hose, and the fire extinguisher grabbed the hose and flooded the floor with cold water. The concrete turned slick in a rush. Beverly lunged and slipped. The trowel clanged into darkness. My mother pulled me back until our shoulders hit the glass, and I heard heavy steps and flashlights cut the room into slices. And there was Harrison with the head of security, and there was Leo right behind them, breathing hard, scared and stubborn at the same time. Harrison didn't shout. He didn't posture. He looked at Beverly like he was finally seeing the person standing in the outline of the employee he thought he knew, and said, Jensen, detain Ms. Vance, call the police, tell them we recovered the necklace, and we have an assault. And Beverly started a last performance that died under the weight of the room because the room already knew. Then Harrison turned toward his son, and the world got quiet. He went to his knees like the floor had called him by name, and he said, I failed you. I trusted a blinking light over your character. Can you forgive me? And Leo nodded with a tear that looked surprised to be free. And a father hugged a boy like you cloak someone from weather you created. And I stood there shaking with the hose at my feet, thinking how thin a line separates the moment you lose a life from the moment you get a better one. Things didn't fix overnight, but they fixed the mansion. Learned how to be a home. My mother ran the estate like a captain who believes in every crew member. Harrison kept more dinners than meetings. The new assistant could say no without cutting anyone insurance. People apologized in the language of policy writers, reporters wrote, exonerated and spelled my name right, and Leo worked with therapists who refused to talk down to him. Braces and robotics and stubborn will. He stood once with help and the room cried. He took steps with crutches, and the roses outside seemed to clap. And on his 18th birthday, the garden was strung with lights, and Harrison raised a glass and said, "The richest thing in his life came wrapped in wax paper," and everybody laughed because the truth often sounds like a joke before it lands. Later, Leo and I stood by the koi pond, where moonlight likes to show off. He said, "You changed everything." And I said, "You would have changed anyway." And he bumped my shoulder and said, "You handed me a map when all I had was a window." And I didn't say family out loud, but that's what we were. I know some people will ask the hard questions. Was Harrison wrong to hesitate when the logs pointed at his child? Or was he human inside a machine that taught him data never lies? Is Beverly just one bad actor or a symptom of a system that rewards competence without conscience? Was a 10-year-old reckless for going where she wasn't supposed to go, or brave for refusing to leave someone behind? I want to hear you. I really do. Tell me where you're watching from and where your line lands. Who would you forgive here? Who would you hold accountable? And what small act of kindness changed the math of your life hit? Like, if this hit you, subscribe. If you want more messy human stories, told plain, and drop your take in the comments. You know what I mean?